happens to me every time. Hey book besties, welcome back to the Purple Library and to my 2023. This is the only TBR that your girl gonna have. I really didn't count how many books. 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at that. Your girl doing that counting. 10 books in 2023. This is the leaning power of books. You may already guess what these books are if you follow me on Instagram. So for my yearly TBR, books really focus on carryovers from the previous year. We have some of those. For sure. Books that had my eye on and new favorite authors. Usually carry my TBR in regard to that. So it's not really books that, that I know I'm gonna read. I'm gonna read Hobb. I'm gonna read Sanders. Y'all know the ones I always be reading. So the first book is Hananka by Ronan Hession. I first saw this book from Overly Average Ben. He reads a lot of fantasy and classic literature and contemporary fiction as well. He spoke so highly of this book. Essentially, it's about a man who's trying to rebuild his life, and he's been estranged from his family after losing everything he has. And how does he cope with that? So I'm really excited to read this contemporary fiction story that I haven't been familiar with, so we love to see it. Iscariot by Tosca Lee, a novel of Judas. This book has come highly recommended, and from my little love bell, she gifted this book to me. So I'm so excited to prioritize this book. She wrote Hobb, which again is one of my favorite books of all time. I'm so excited to read this book and really dive into her interpretation of the mind of Judas, the story you thought you knew, and that's all we need to know. Frank Peretti, This Present Darkness. Everyone has talked so highly about this. Frank Peretti is the OG in the Christian fiction. I think he co-wrote a book with Ted Dekker as well. I think it's called Monster or House, or I don't have no plans of reading it. I really don't know anything about this book other than it deals with spiritual warfare. So I definitely want to go into it with minimal information. I really like going into my books like that. Let's go for it. Let's see where the story takes us. I have a couple other books on my shelf from him. Prophet, and I think there is a follow-up or a sequel to this book as well. I really need to prioritize reading this book. Priority set. Brando Sando 2023 AA. The Way of Kings. I am starting the Stormlight Archive. I don't know when I'm going to start this. I've heard so many great things about The Way of Kings. I still have a couple of more books that I need to read. The Lost Metal, which is the final book in Mistborn Era 2, and Elantris, which is his first published work. Other than that, I've read everything else needed to start the Stormlight Archive. I had intended to start Brandon Sanderson in 2022, but somebody,
Robin Hobb, played way too much. I didn't ask her to be here, but she showed up.
Just took over my 2021 and my 2022. So I just cannot wait to dive in this. I'm so excited. Redeeming Love by Francine Rivers, the literal GOAT of Christian fiction. Bailey's Bookshelf, my little love bell, gifted this one too. This video is sponsored by Bailey's Bookshelf. This kind of falls into the same as Frank Peretti. I intended to read it end of 2022, but I wasn't really in the mind space to really dive into this. I have several of her books on my shelf, but I gotta start with the OG, right? We gotta start with the OG. I said I was gonna do synopsis. The girl ain't synopsis nothing. So books will be linked in the description. Red Wing Saga. This is actually book 1. I have read books 1 through 5. There are currently 8 books published in this series by Sharon K. Gilbert. It is a suspense thriller, Christian fiction story, 1879, and we're following Detective Inspector Charles St. Clair, who is investigating these mysterious murders. A whirlwind from there. Highly recommend this series, and so I'm going to be continuing books 6 through 8. Want to put the first one up here because that was an indicator for me.
Hey girl, look.
You need to finish this series. My girl, Jane Austen, Pride and Prejudice. Jane Austen is the GOAT. It is a truth universally acknowledged. I love the Pride and Prejudice movies, especially 2005 is superior because I may or may not call Mr. Librarian Mr. Darcy from time to time. Did I watch Pride and Prejudice 2005 every Saturday for 2 years? That's totally normal, right? Yeah, everybody does that. Pride and Prejudice, an absolute classic. Definitely try to read this during Jane Austen July. I felt so trendy. Oh my goodness. The next few books that are carryovers from last year and the year before that. Really gonna focus in on these three. They have the highest priorities for me to finish this year. John Steinbeck's Feast of Eden. I don't know why. This has been on my yearly TBR for probably 3 years. So follows two brothers, Cain and Abel retelling or a Cain and Abel inspired type story, legacy, family. I'm looking forward to reading this, and I have to prioritize it for sure. Jade Legacy by Fonda Lee. Mentioned this in my mid-year freakout tag of 2022. This will be the second year this has been on my TBR. I can't even hold y'all. This story, family, these characters are still with me after almost 2.5 years after reading Jade War. I don't know what I'm going to do because this Fonda Lee is just going to wreck me. Heard such high reviews and I'm like, this is the third book in the Greenbone, I always want to say saga. Oh, it is. I said it right this time. Starting the first book of Jade War, and it follows a crime family that has special powers endued by Jade. These two crime families fighting for the possession and the distribution of Jade in this world, and those who possess it have great power. I need to read this book. And then finally, the book All Men May Burn, House of Leaves. I am way through this book, well, not including pendencies. This book is wild, annotated to the nth degree. I talked about this quite a bit in my recent Reeves live stream. I'll link that in the description box and in the cards. This is my ongoing close supervision with the book bestie. This is one of my best friend's favorite books. She read Dune with me last year. I'm still getting through House of Leaves. Go into this with a lot of supervision. House of Leaves ain't that book that you go bold into and you just storm the castle. Don't storm the castle.
Nah.
Hide in the woods. I definitely plan on finishing it at least by the first quarter of this year. I don't even know what to tell you about it. It's not in DNF territory, so that's a good thing. I'm so excited to read these books and start on the journey and tick them off one by one throughout the year, Lord willing. So what is on your 2023 TBR? Or if you do monthly TBRs, let me know what you plan on reading in January, February, whenever this video is posted. I hope I get it posted in January, but it might be February. Let me know your thoughts about any of the books I mentioned. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here. And I'll see y'all book nerds next time. Bye.